If love is truly the essence of creation, why do so many of us feel so deeply alone? Mystical traditions across cultures affirm that the universe itself was born out of love. In an ancient saying attributed to God, "I was a hidden treasure and loved to be known. So I created the world." Creation is not an accident, but an act of affection, existence as an expression of divine desire to be seen. Yet the modern human condition seems to contradict this idea. Despite technological connection, people report record levels of loneliness and isolation. From a neuroscientific standpoint, loneliness activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex. The brain interprets social disconnection as a threat to survival, philosophically. This raises a question: if the cosmos is an unfolding of divine love, why does the human experience often feel fragmented and loveless? Perhaps the problem lies not in the absence of love, but in the distortion of perception, the inability to recognize the unity that underlies our separateness. Ibn Arabi, the great Andalusian Sufi philosopher, offered a radical insight. Love is not an emotion between beings. It is the very fabric through which being exists. We live in an era of hyperconnectivity, yet never before have people felt so emotionally disconnected. Social networks provide constant contact but little communion. The result is an amplified sense of comparison, competition, and loneliness. Psychologically, the modern self is fragmented by attention bias. The endless stimuli of digital life scatter awareness across hundreds of competing inputs, preventing sustained depth of connection. The more we try to be visible, the more invisible we feel. Decades of research confirm this paradox. The Harvard study of adult development found that loneliness strongly correlates with anxiety, inflammation, and decreased emotional regulation. Humans are biologically wired for belonging, yet contemporary culture promotes individualism, self-branding, and constant comparison, the opposite of belonging. By defining identity through separation, me versus them, my profile versus theirs, we reinforce the illusion that love is external and conditional. In doing so, we lose what Ibn Arabi would call ontological intimacy, the sense of being already woven into the fabric of existence itself. Could our loneliness arise not from the lack of people, but from a forgotten relationship with the source of love itself? To answer this, we turn to the thought of Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, the Sufi philosopher often called Al-Sheikh Al-Akbar, the greatest master. Born in Andalusia, he authored hundreds of works, the most famous being Fusius, Al-Hikam, and Futuhat. Al-Makkiya. At the heart of his worldview is the doctrine of Wadid, al-Wujd, the unity of being. For Ibn Arabi, there is only one true existence, the divine reality. Everything else is a reflection or mode of that single being. Love is the origin of existence and its governing principle. To exist, then, is to participate in love. Creation is not external to God. It is God's self-disclosure, the act of love becoming visible. Every encounter, every moment of perception, is love recognizing itself in different forms. What appears as multiplicity is actually the infinite play of divine affection. Loneliness is not the absence of love. It is the veil that hides unity behind diversity. Ibn Arabi redefines love as ontological energy, not emotion. Love is not a sentiment or a feeling. It is the principle that sustains all being. To exist is to be held within a field of attraction, a cosmic longing between the created and the creator. This idea parallels the universal principle of attraction seen across physics and biology, from the gravitational pull that organizes galaxies to the biochemical bonds that sustain life. Everything in existence is drawn toward coherence. Entropy pushes systems toward disorder. Love, as a metaphysical force, is the counter-movement, the drive toward harmony. Human attachment mirrors this cosmic attraction. Our longing for connection is not weakness. It is an echo of the universe remembering its source through us. If love is the essence of existence, why do we feel separate? Ibn Arabi answers, because perception is veiled by duality. The human ego divides the world into self and other. This fragmentation is mirrored in the brain's default mode network, the system responsible for self-referential thought. When overly active, it creates an internal narrative of separateness. I am here, the world is out there. Mystically, this illusion is necessary. Duality is the mirror through which the one sees itself. Separation is not error. It is the condition through which relationship, and thus love, becomes possible. From a psychological perspective, loneliness is the misreading of this duality. It is divine intimacy misperceived as absence. The pain of separation is not punishment, but the tension that makes reunion meaningful. For Ibn Arabi, every being embodies one of God's beautiful names. One person reflects the loving, another the wise, another the patient. Love between beings is not ownership or dependence. It is recognition, one aspect of the divine acknowledging another. Every relationship is theological. Compassion, friendship, mentorship, even conflict, all reveal the interplay of divine attributes. Psychology calls this projection. We perceive in others qualities that exist within us. Ibn Arabi elevates this from pathology to cosmology. Projection becomes the soul's method of self-recognition through mirrors of divine qualities. To love another is, in truth, to recognize a name of God being revealed through them. Ultimately, all love points inward, not toward isolation, but toward rediscovery of the divine essence within. He who knows himself knows his Lord. To know oneself is not to analyze the ego, but to perceive the light that animates it. When awareness becomes self-aware, it transcends subject and object. Duality dissolves. Solitude transforms from emptiness into presence. What seemed like loneliness becomes reunion. The realization that love was never elsewhere. Ibn Arabi resolves the paradox of divine love by showing that love requires both union and distance. Without separation, there is no longing. Without longing, love cannot express itself. The world is simultaneously God and not God, not a collapse of identity, but a dynamic mirror. The Absolute manifests relativity in order to know itself through differentiation. The ache of loneliness is not meaningless pain, but directional energy, the soul's vector of return toward unity. Mystical union does not erase individuality, it harmonizes it. Each being becomes a distinct note in the symphony of divine love. Feeling alone is not evidence of love's absence. It is love's reminder, urging perception to expand. How can this translate into modern life? Redirect awareness. When the mind quiets, feelings of loneliness decrease. Instead of focusing on craving, I need to be loved, shift attention to awareness itself. Notice the field in which emotions arise. That awareness is already connected to all that exists. View solitude not as absence, but as communion. When you sit quietly, You participate in the same consciousness that sustains all life. Solitude becomes reverence. In relationships, ask, which divine quality am I witnessing here? Is it patience, mercy, or strength? This reframes interaction from judgment to recognition. Love is not something you get from others. It is a mode of seeing. When you perceive others as manifestations of the divine, need turns into gratitude. Simple practices like solitude, meditation, mindful walking, or gratitude journaling can serve as modern forms of remembrance, training perception to see unity behind multiplicity. The aim is not to generate love, but to remove the distortions that conceal it. Loneliness, then, is not proof that love is missing. It is evidence that perception is incomplete. Ibn Arabi's insight reframes existence itself as an act of divine affection, love seeking to know itself through creation. Every sense of distance, every longing, every heartache is part of that process of recognition. To feel less alone, one must stop treating love as a rare emotion and start perceiving it as the very structure of reality. Love is the essence of existence, and whoever knows love knows God. If love created the world, you were never outside it, you only forgot to see. The question is not whether love surrounds you, but whether you have learned to see through the eyes of love itself.